They don't wear designer clothes. They don't drive flashy cars. You'll never see them on magazine covers or viral TikToks. But quietly, behind the scenes, these families control assets worth hundreds of millions, sometimes billions. And the craziest part? You've never heard of them. That's not by accident, it's by design. These are the invisible dynasties, families who've mastered generational wealth, not by chasing the spotlight, but by understanding and executing a set of systems so powerful they virtually guarantee financial security for decades, even centuries. Today, for the first time, we're peeling back the curtain. Why is it that some families seem to lose their wealth in just 2 or 3 generations, while others grow it exponentially, without ever appearing on a Forbes list? The answer lies in a different kind of education, not taught in schools, not found in trending finance books, passed down quietly over dinner tables and family retreats. You're about to discover how they do it. Let's start with a name you don't know: the Greenwoods. In the 1950s, Harold Greenwood was a modest accountant living in Indiana. Not exactly a Wall Street tycoon. But Harold did something most people never think to do. He studied not just how to make money, but how to structure it. He created a family charter, started a trust, and opened multiple LLCs, not for tax evasion, but for long-term leverage. Every dollar he earned was split. 50% went to lifestyle, 30% went to assets, and 20% went into a permanent family endowment. That endowment was never touched. Only its returns were used. And here's where it gets interesting. Every family member born into the Greenwood line was educated not just in math or history, but in capital allocation, risk management, and compound interest. Before they could legally drive, they could read a profit and loss statement. By 18, they were expected to present an investment thesis to the family board. Now, let's pause here. Think about your family. Did you grow up learning how to read financial statements? Did anyone show you how to build a tax-advantaged portfolio, or how to buy real estate through a trust? Probably not. And that's not your fault. But it's why you need to keep watching, because once you see the system, you can't unsee it. The Greenwoods didn't just accumulate money, they built a machine that outlived Harold, outgrew his lifetime income, and became self-sustaining. But they're not alone. Meet the Bensons, a small Midwestern family that never made headlines, but owns over 20 income-producing properties across 5 states. The secret? A system they call the legacy ladder. At age 10, each child is gifted a small dividend-paying stock. At 15, they're given a stake in a vending machine business run by the cousins. At 21, they're allowed to co-invest in a multifamily property using capital earned, not gifted. No handouts, only hand-ups. By the time they're 30, they own assets, not because someone left it to them, but because they were trained to think like stewards, not consumers. Every purchase is filtered through 2 questions. Does it appreciate? And does it produce cash flow? Meanwhile, the family holds quarterly wealth meetings everyone attends. Net worths are tracked. Debts are discussed publicly. No shame, just accountability. And every 5 years, the family votes on a philanthropic cause to support, reinforcing purpose behind the profit. The result? Not just wealthy individuals, but a cohesive economic unit. It might sound intense, but here's the brutal truth. Most families talk about money only when there's a crisis, when someone dies, when someone's broke. These families? They talk about money like other people talk about the weather, casually, constantly, strategically. And while some were born into it, others created it from scratch. Like the New family, first-generation immigrants from Vietnam. Arriving with nothing, they opened a dry cleaning business. But instead of scaling it endlessly, they used the profits to buy a fourplex, then another and another. But they didn't stop there. They created a private lending operation within the family, offering low-interest loans to relatives starting businesses or buying property. All repayments cycled back into the family bank, compounding interest internally. No banks, no VCs, just smart capital rotation. Here's what they all understand. Wealth isn't just money. It's structure, it's education, it's discipline. And most of all, it's boring. These systems aren't sexy. They don't make headlines, but they work consistently, quietly, powerfully. In the next section, we'll break down the 5 pillars that every secretive, wealthy family seems to build on, no matter where they started or how much they had. But before that, take 1 second to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know in the comments. What's one lesson about money you wish your family had taught you? Let's keep going. The truth is, most people are playing checkers while these families are playing 4D chess. It's not just about saving or investing, it's about constructing systems that create, protect, and perpetuate wealth far beyond one lifetime. Let's dive into those 5 pillars that show up over and over again inside these hidden dynasties. Pillar 1. Asset ownership. Income. The wealthy understand something the middle class often misses. Income doesn't equal wealth. You can make $500,000 a year and still be broke if your lifestyle matches it. But if you own the right assets, those that appreciate and produce passive income, you could live modestly and become quietly rich. Real estate, dividend stocks, private businesses, intellectual property. These aren't just investments, they're leverage tools. While most people trade time for money, these families trade ownership for freedom. The Ngu family's dry cleaning profits weren't spent on vacations or luxury cars. They were used as down payments on properties. But here's the twist. The ownership structure wasn't under individuals. It was under a family LLC. That way, liability was minimized, taxes optimized, and wealth remained within a protected entity. It's not just about buying assets, it's about how you own them. Pillar 2. Centralized control, distributed access. In public companies, there's a CEO and a board. In these families, the same principle applies. A small group, often elders or the most financially literate, maintain control over the big decisions. But access to resources is structured. Loans, investments, and education are funded based on merit, proposals, and contribution, not entitlement. The Bensons, for example, have a family fund. Any member can pitch an idea to use capital, whether it's for a business or a property. But there's a process: market research, ROI forecast, and accountability check-ins. This creates a culture where wealth is treated like a business, not a lottery ticket. Pillar 3. Financial education as a legacy. These families teach money like it's a language. They don't outsource it to schools or hope kids figure it out. They embed it into life. Game nights with mock investment portfolios, chores tied to micro-incomes, high schoolers managing real rental units under guidance. When financial literacy becomes culture, financial freedom becomes inevitable. Harold Greenwood's great-granddaughter Ellie once said, "Before I ever got an allowance, I had to explain what compound interest was." That might sound extreme, but now she's 26, debt-free, and manages part of the family's ETF portfolio. She didn't inherit money. She inherited a mindset. Pillar 4. Strategic secrecy. Why haven't you heard of these families? Because they don't want you to. Publicity invites risk, legal, social, and psychological. Quiet wealth protects peace. These families operate under generic-sounding LLCs, avoid social media flaunting, and never rely on one income stream. Many even keep personal addresses off property records by using trusts or nominee entities. The less visible they are, the safer their assets. This also helps preserve humility in younger generations who grow up with access to resources but not the illusion of endless riches. When your name's not on a building, but your trust owns the building, you learn the power of quiet dominance. Pillar 5. Purpose beyond profit. What keeps these systems from turning toxic? Vision, values. These families tie wealth to a greater mission. Philanthropy isn't a tax deduction, it's part of the identity. From funding scholarships to building clinics to supporting political initiatives aligned with their beliefs, money becomes a tool to shape the world, not just enjoy it. The Ramirez family, another low-profile dynasty from Texas, allocates 10% of annual profits to a cause account. The next generation votes on where it goes. One year it's inner-city education, the next it's clean water in rural Honduras. This keeps everyone involved and emotionally invested. It also reframes wealth as responsibility. None of these families started rich. Most began with small businesses, working-class jobs, or immigration stories. But they had vision. They played long-term games, and they built systems, not just bank accounts. Think about this. What would happen if just one of these principles became part of your daily life? What if your family had a monthly meeting around finances? What if your children received shares instead of just gifts? And more importantly, what if wealth became your responsibility, not a dream? In Part 3, we'll show you how to start. A practical roadmap, no matter where you are financially, that mirrors the secret systems of these forgotten dynasties. No theory, no fluff, just actions you can take today that could change your legacy forever. But before we move on, take a moment, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment with one pillar that hit you hardest. This isn't just a video, it's an invitation. Ready for Part 3? Let's build your system. Now that you've seen what the hidden dynasties do, it's time to flip the mirror. What would it take to implement a similar system in your own life, even if you're starting from scratch? The truth is, you don't need millions in the bank or a lineage of entrepreneurs. What you need is clarity, structure, and consistency. Here's how to begin. Step 1. Build the wealth operating system. The very first move is treating your personal finances like a business. Start with a simple dashboard: assets, liabilities, cash flow, net worth. Review it monthly. Track it like your life depends on it, because it does. This alone will place you ahead of 90% of people. Once you measure your money, you begin to control it, and when you control it, you multiply it. Create separate accounts, one for income, one for bills, one for investments, one for savings. Automate transfers. Never let your checking account become the graveyard of your ambitions. Every dollar needs a destination. Don't let your lifestyle inflate with your income, let your ownership inflate. Step 2. Launch your family fund. You don't need heirs to start this. Even if it's just you, treat your future like a board of directors would. Begin with 10% of your income dedicated to investment capital. Label it the Legacy Fund. Over time, invite others, your spouse, your siblings, your children. Make it formal. Assign roles. Create rules. Track performance. Reward discipline. Start small. The first investment could be a high-yield savings account, a REIT, or an ETF. Later, move into real estate or small businesses. But the key is this: you're building a culture of wealth, not just a portfolio. That culture will shape your decisions forever. Step 3. Create an education framework. Start teaching, even if it's just yourself. Choose one financial topic per month: taxes, credit, real estate, investing, and master it. Document what you learn. If you have kids, share it with them. Create a family wealth journal to pass it on. If you don't, create it anyway, for your future self or those you'll one day mentor. Buy books. Watch real content. Not hype, not hustle, actual frameworks. Learn how to read a balance sheet. Learn how to identify cash-flowing assets. Learn how the tax code rewards business owners and investors. The wealthy aren't smarter, they're better informed. Step 4. Protect and multiply. Once you have systems in place, it's time to think long-term. Create an LLC, even if you're small. It helps protect your assets and opens the door to tax advantages. Research how family trusts work in your country. Understand how to shield your wealth from lawsuits, inflation, and poor decision-making. Then, multiply. Scale what works. Turn one income stream into two. Turn earned income into passive. Invest not just in assets, but in asset-producing skills, negotiation, marketing, leadership, strategy. These don't just make you richer, they make you harder to replace. Step 5. Anchor it in purpose. Here's the most important part. Don't build wealth just to escape poverty. Build it to create impact. Whether it's providing for your kids, giving your parents the retirement they never had, funding a mission, or building a school, tie your money to meaning. That's what keeps you consistent when motivation fades. The invisible families we explored didn't get lucky. They got intentional. They weren't born with blueprints, they built them. And so can you. This world isn't fair. Some people start on third base while others are still trying to get into the stadium. But once you see the playbook, you can stop playing defense. You can stop hoping for a better future and start engineering one. Imagine 10 years from now. Your investments cover your expenses. Your kids understand money better than most adults. You control your time. You support causes you care about. You've created a system that works while you sleep. And when you're gone, that system keeps working for those you love and those you'll never meet. That's not a fantasy. That's the outcome of small strategic steps repeated over time. If this video woke something up in you, share it. Start the conversation. Tag someone who needs to see it. Subscribe if you haven't, because we're not done. Every week, we break down the hidden strategies of wealth that nobody talks about. And remember, wealth isn't a number, it's a system. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep, what you grow, and what you leave behind. Now go build something that lasts.